welcome back to another episode of the Variant Cast. I'm joined here, as always, by Trent, the man who makes the second or third best chocolate in his house. I'm sure, maybe top four, gotta be at least. How you doing, Trent?
Yep, just doing good. Probably third place after both my girlfriend and my dog. So,
Oosh. All right. Well, I, if you haven't clocked it by now, we're going to be talking about Wonka to start out. We got a few random news bits as always, as well as we're going to be going over some surprising Rotter Tot results that have already come out. And we got a no negotiation recommendation. So if you're interested in hearing about what the next episode might be about, make sure to stick around for that. But without further ado, we got Wonka, which is a 2023 musical fantasy film directed by Paul King. I was tasked with watching this last week, and I did indeed watch it. You watched it a bit earlier, so I'll let you go ahead and kind of start us off. What were kind of your general thoughts on the film, and where it hit, where it missed, and kind of where you feel on it?
yeah, so I watched this movie when it hit theaters. Saw it close to Christmas time, and thought it was really good. I thought it was a good movie to go see with your family, and I thought that it was directed really well, and I don't think Paul King could miss. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, Paul King definitely seems like one of those guys that just has it figured out, and he's just got this genre figured out.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
simply
yeah,
put.
yeah. He's definitely got the like. I walked out of the theater and I was like, that was almost like the exact same movie as Paddington, because it's like it feels very like similar in tone, but also like as the plot develops, like it really does seem like it's just like it's just like almost it could fit into the Paddington world, which I feel like all of Paul King's movies can.
The Paul King verse.
Yeah,
I thought about that while watching the movie. I was like, this tonally feels so similar to the Paddington films, and like just the surrealism of the world where it's like almost reality but not quite.
yeah,
I think he absolutely nailed that. This film takes place in Europe, not anything that is
not in a real
specified.
place. Yeah,
Just Europe, just vaguely Europe.
yeah,
I picked up on that while watching, but did get it confirmed while looking it up. A few other things I thought were notable. The cinematography was done by I'll probably butcher the pronunciation, but Chung Hoon. He has done things like Zombieland, Last Night in Soho, Obi-Wan, and the Uncharted movie. So he's a guy that's been doing a lot of stuff recently, and I just thought it was kind of something of note, as the stuff was pretty impressive. What was going
yeah.
on?
No,
Obviously,
yeah. I
Last
thought
Night in
that
Soho,
it was
Edgar
really
Wright
good.
film, so he's definitely getting in with these upper echelon guys directing.
Yeah, and I feel like it really shows, because uh, it's like the movie has like a scale to it, but also feels like it's very close, like a very like close story with Willy Wonka and the other characters in it.
Yeah, and music as well, very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd kind of expect that from a Wonka film. There's always been like musical elements, but the songs were done by Joby Talbert. Obviously, I'm just going through the Wikipedia here, guys. But he's done a lot of notable things. The thing that stuck out to me is, of his recent works, he's done the Sing franchise, which is like an
Mm.
Illumination film series of just talking animals that sing. And it's actually surprisingly a decent movie. Both Sing 1 and Sing 2. I think Sing 2 is a bit better. But it's, the thing that makes those movies work is just how good the musical kind of stuff is. So
Yeah.
shout out the boy Joby out of the UK. He's doing a good job. They put together a really nice crew on this, and I think the cast did a really good job with the roles that they were assigned, and it's just a really well executed film.
Yeah. And like a lot of people weren't expecting Timothy Chalamet to be able to like portray the kind of like whimsical version of Willy Wonka that, or I guess like people thought that it was going to be like a more like serious movie. But I thought he did well with the role. Same with Hugh Grant. He did. I thought he was good as like the short time that he was on screen as a Willy Wonka, and I like the whole like the whole chocolate cartel thing, and all of the owners of like the chocolate companies and how they're. I guess we'll get into spoilers a little bit. So if you haven't seen Wonka, go watch it. Come back, and we'll go ahead and start spoilers. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the three people who are like the heads of the companies of this European town, they essentially like forbid him from selling chocolate and try whatever they can to like banish him from taking over all of their business, because they know that secretly he has the best chocolate.
Yeah, and what I like about Paul King's films, and he did help with the screenplay on this one, is just like the undertones. A lot of people will just kind of watch this and just take it very surface level, and the surface level stuff is very good. But like the message that is underneath is, I'm not going to say it's like groundbreaking or anything. It's just, rich people doing rich things, corrupt police. Like there's mature themes done in a very childish way
Yeah.
to kind of, I think partly to introduce kids to, the fact that, just because someone's in uniform doesn't mean they are trustworthy, and you got a bunch of different factors that could go into that. Like it's, Keegan Michael Key just stuffing his face
Yeah.
full of chocolate and progressively getting bigger and bigger throughout the movie. Thought that was a fun bit, even though I was hoping, his character would get redeemed or something. But no, he
Yeah.
just kind of ended up being the worst the entire time.
Yeah, he just kept going, and then yeah, and then at the very end he just shows up and he's just like the biggest man ever.
So the catalyst of this whole movie is obviously Wonka. He's living on a boat making his chocolate. He's like, I'm gonna go uh, and make chocolate in the city, like I had always told my mom that I would do. And I still didn't quite understand that. I think they're insinuating his mom is dead,
Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
he hasn't like come to terms with it. Because like halfway through the movie, I was like, "Wait, his mom's still alive?" I'm confused here. Why'd she just dip? But it makes more sense when they show like the scene at the end of her like looking on and then disappearing, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm,
Yeah, because they explained earlier that uh he just said that like she left. I don't think they explicitly ever said that she died, but and then he says like, this is like the only thing that I have of my mother, but I hope that one day that she'll share my secret recipe, she'll somehow share her secret recipe with him. And then
I feel
that's
like he did. I feel like he figured out the secret recipe, just kind of judging by things.
yeah.
It seems like he has, but also he's just like pumping random chemicals into these
Yeah.
chocolates. So who knows if it's anything above board. So the he makes it to this town looking for a place to stay. I think this is probably the most fun part of the movie. Is he stays in this like boarding house slash hotel type thing, and he doesn't have enough money to get a room, so they offered him the entrepreneurial package, because he talks about how he's going to be all successful and all that great stuff, and it sounds like a solid deal. They don't charge you for a room now, but all they got to do is you got to pay for a room tomorrow, and
Yeah.
go from there. But you got to read the fine print. Our boy Wonka unfortunately cannot read, and the fine print basically says that they could charge you whatever they want for whatever they want, and if you don't pay it, you then just become their slave until you pay off whatever debt they made up for you. So they go
Which is
through
virtually
that.
impossible because they never let you leave.
Yeah, they're giving you a wage for like washing laundry, but they charged him up like 20,000 or something because they charged like a few hundred for putting his feet by the fire. Anything that he did, they charged him for, and he was set to spend 40, 50 years inside of this like wash house, but obviously the boy Wonka had other ideas, starts selling candy on the side, and kind of starts this. I think the most fun part about the movie is kind of the sneaking around aspect, and you get to see the teamwork between him and the other escapees from the wash house, and
Hmm.
how they kind of come together as a team. And it's this nice, cute moment, and it all ends up looking like it's gonna work out in the end. But
Yeah. And
dang
the,
cartel.
the little moments where he's like, you never had chocolate before, or like when he's like sitting on the bench and he's like pouring the hot chocolate and then it like freezes and as he picks it up and it's frozen. I feel like that's all great stuff. um did have another thought after the movie that like you could watch the original, like this puts like the original movie in like different context, because like
Right.
you could see the original movie as like he's like making like these kids go through all of like the trauma and tribulations that he had to go through to like make his own chocolate factory, you know. So like he's like, all right, I'm gonna weed out the ones that are gonna drown in the river, gonna weed out the ones that I guess he's the one that gave them like the hover fly or whatever. But I don't know, I just think it's something to think about.
Yeah. I mean, this is a movie that budget of about 125 million. The classic thing everyone says is you got to double that for marketing and all that great stuff, and it ended up doing about 540 million. So pretty big success. I don't know who was the production company for this one. Warner Bros.
Warner
Yeah, yeah,
Brothers, yeah.
checks out. So I think that's probably the most interesting thing is what they do with this franchise going forward, because obviously they have an affinity for it. They feel that there's something that could be gained with this franchise, and they basically started out with like Wonka, the origin. So now the
Yeah,
question becomes: do they do a Wonka 2? Do they try to keep moving with this and show his
yeah,
fall from grace? Maybe you get a different director. They're like, hey, we exhausted our Paul King, and Wonka 2 will be directed by Christopher Nolan and will
yeah.
be a
Todd Phillips.
yeah, a psychological descent into his madness and how he became a torturous psychopath.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I think that would be unironically fire. But I think what they'll likely take from it is that they want to continue to do things in this tone.
Yeah,
And if they do, I'm curious how many of these films Paul King wants to make, because he's obviously got Paddington 3 coming out. And I think at this point he's pretty well known as the Paddington guy that got Wonka and made it work in that same style. So
or
I don't
just
know
like
if
the guy who makes good feel good stories, you know. And
yeah,
so wherever he fits into that, like tackling something on a bigger scale. I guess Wonka is kind of on a bigger scale than Paddington, but giving him something on the scale of like Barbie or something like that, where like I don't know, like they're giving the director of Marcel the Shell like Lilo and Stitch, something like that. I think that could work for Paul King, and I'll
what
tune into anything that he'll watch.
what since this is the variant cast, we talk about comic book heroes a lot. Where would you put him if you were gonna like give him full reign of a comic book character? My first
Hmm.
thought is like a Booster Gold.
Yeah,
I know
that's,
there's a bit
that's
more edge to Booster Gold, but like I think Paul could figure that out.
Yeah, you could do a booster. I could see a Booster Gold, or yeah, I'd love to see him tackle something in the DC. Even like even something like a crypto movie. I could see him doing, and it being fire.
Yeah, no. I could definitely see that, like with Superman in the movie, but like Crypto
Yeah,
kind of goes off and does his own thing.
yeah.
That would be sick, actually. And I think there is a real market for like the super pet like franchise,
Hmm.
and I'm interested to see if maybe um, James Gunn leans more into that. He seems like the type of guy that would. And I know he's been big on the crypto thing. He's
Yeah,
big on the Cosmo thing. If you look at
yeah.
pretty much any of his stuff he's done in the MCU, there's always a pet sidekick, or same thing with Peacemaker, with Eagly. There's always some sort of animal in these James Gunn projects, from Rocket to whoever, Cosmo, the Cosmo dog.
Yeah, and I could totally see like they're talking about like having different genres and different takes and like different directing styles, and I think he would work great with like a street level hero, street level story.
Yeah, yeah. I think shout out Paul King. I think he's been one of the best director of the, I guess, 2010s, early 2020s. I think he's had pretty spotless track record, of course, with Paddington 1 and 2 being well regarded as some of the best kids movies of this era. And then I think Wonka uh, is, I think it's got an 83 on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.2 on IMDb, for what people were expecting. And I think a lot of the dislike of this movie just comes from the lead, which I don't quite understand. The environment around Timothy Chalamet. So if someone could fill me in on that, I'd appreciate it. I don't understand what's so special about him that he gets talked about a lot. But he's fine. He's not good. He's not that great. He's not that bad. I think he did a really good job in this movie. So I'm excited
I
to
think
see.
on top of him being in a lot of well-known movies, I think that
Yeah,
he like in interviews he comes across as like just being kind of like somebody who you'd like be friends with. Like he just like he always talks about like pop culture, and or he talks about like things that like I don't know, like you don't really. I guess since he is kind of on the younger side, like like people feel like they could kind of like relate to him a little bit more than like I don't know, like a Tom Holland, or like I saw him, and there was an interview last night that was like him, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, and Zendaya, and like they just seemed like they were all just like a group of friends that were kind of just like hanging out and like just like chatting and kind of like
right.
bullshitting with each other. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even saying necessarily as like a negative. It's not like
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, what do people see in this guy? It's more like the vitriol that came with him being cast as
yeah,
Wonka.
yeah,
I was just confused by,
yeah, yeah,
and it may just be like you said. I think it probably just comes from jealousy because this dude's like one of the most thirsted after like men on the planet. So maybe it's that.
yeah,
Because I know Pete Davidson got a lot of that smoke as well, where
yeah,
it's just like why do half these people even, like, how do you muster the strength to dislike these people?
yeah,
So I guess I was just confused. I was like, is it really his like acting, or because he seems like he's
yeah.
pretty good as an actor, as a character actor, especially like, but it's back on kind of topic here. It There's a poisoning of candy that was interesting. I don't. I think he kind of stumbled upon like a miracle serum that just regrows people's hair. So like I don't know if Keegan saw that, but like maybe he could have got some hair on the head again.
Yeah, and he could have had blue hair, but I mean, it would have been hair.
Yeah,
You
you could
probably could have
just trim
dyed.
it,
You could have
bleach
dyed
it.
it. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder how that
And they're like,
works.
like, and they're not like, it doesn't regrow. I'm sure you could shave it. Like, who cares if your 8-year-old daughter has a mustache? I know, like, most 8-year-olds would be stoked to have a mustache.
Yeah, it's facts.
But yeah, basically they poison it, and then they, attempt to murder. There's a lot of attempted murder. A lot of attempted murder.
Yeah.
A surprising amount for a kid's thing. But like I said, there's a surprising amount of mature themes with like slave trade and police corruption and a literal cartel.
Yeah.
Real interesting stuff going on here in the Wonkaverse.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the one that stuck out to me the most is when they just blew up that boat, expecting him to be on it.
Oh yeah.
Just like, okay.
Yeah, and then the one dude after every time just being like, and then he died.
How did you feel about the origin of the Oompa Loompas? I don't know if that's like a known thing. I struggle to remember anything about the original Wonka movies.
I think in the Johnny Depp version, he stumbled upon him when he was like hacking his way through the forest in like in a flashback.
Okay.
And so I don't know, I enjoyed it. I thought that it was funny how there was like the original Oompa Loompa that had to go get him because he stole like the specific beans that he was watching, but he was just like asleep. I thought that was funny. I thought it was fun.
How many Wonkas out of 5?
I'd give it 4 out of 5 Willy Wonkas.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. If you're grading it just as a Wonka movie, I think I probably enjoyed this one more than I enjoy any of them.
Yeah.
The original one, I'm kind of just on. I have like some nostalgia blinders for the Johnny Depp one, but I don't like love a lot of the scenes in that. And this one is a Paul King film, and I like those. So I think this is my favorite so far. It'd probably be like 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5 if I'm feeling jealous of Timothy Chalamet's jawline that day,
Yeah. And I'd say that it's a great Wonka, or like a great movie of that franchise as well, and it does a good job of not feeling like it's going through a checklist of being like, here's how Willy Wonka got his iconic cane, here's how Willy Wonka got his hat, like it really felt like it was like an organic story that didn't feel like it was trying to like fit too many things in, but at the same time fitting like a bunch of things and a bunch of references in that call back to the other movies.
Yeah. No solo Star Wars story shenanigans going on.
It's like, oh, you don't have a name? Looks at chocolate bar. Your name's Willy Wonka. Yeah.
Wonka. Dude can't read, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
Because he can build like elaborate contraptions, which I guess doesn't go hand in hand with reading, but maybe a little weird. I don't know. Seems like
I don't know.
Maybe that's just a really good depiction of autism in media right there. I think that might be it. But let's go ahead and get on to the news here. Sorry, there was no segue out of autism. There was just none to be seen. Speaking of the spectrum, let's go ahead and get to the news. As we are going to be going over some leaks and rumors and anything random that Trent wants to throw in there. But where we left off last, we were talking about some Daredevil, but we got some Tom Holland things, probably from that interview that you were referring to. Tom Holland's box office bonus for Marvel was sent to British actor Tom Hollander by mistake. It was an astonishing amount of money, and it was way more money than I had ever seen. So I don't know if this quote is from Tom Hollander or Tom Holland, but I hope he got to keep some of it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that Tom Holland would kind of throw him a bone and be like, sorry for the inconvenience of you thinking that you had that much money for 1 second. But I'm sure that he probably just gets paid more money than most people can imagine.
But yeah, definitely box office bonus for what movie?
It's an Endgame, I'm pretty sure,
say.
right? I'm pretty sure it said Endgame.
But this headline makes no sense to me because like how are they paying actors? Like how like do they have this like Cash App that they just type in like the actor's name and send them, oh, here's your box office bonus? How do you accidentally how do they even have Tom Hollander's like bank information?
I think that he's just on he's just on the Actors Guild. He's just on a spreadsheet. It's like Tom Holland, and right underneath it, Tom Hollander, and they're just like accidentally
Right.
copied and
Right.
pasted the wrong the wrong email.
But gotta change my name to like, you know, like Brad
Tom
Pitt's.
Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. Brad Bits and just like hope. Cross the fingers and hope.
Yeah.
Then Sony Pictures is considering bringing Toby and Andrew back in Spider-Man 4. Kevin Feige wants the movie to be more grounded, while Sony wants it to be huge. I guess that checks out, right?
Yeah. So Sony yet again trying to force Marvel to do something with their property that they don't want to do. I don't know if you saw the report that said that Andrew Garfield was originally supposed to be in Madam Web, and then they changed it to be in No Way Home instead because they're like it probably fits better. It probably fits better here, but it's like no, like that's the only reason why I would have went and saw Madam Web was if Andrew Garfield was in it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably gonna watch Madam Web just because like I'm hearing like a lot of funny stuff.
Yeah.
And,
what else are you supposed to do on Valentine's Day, you know?
Right, exactly. um, then something I wonder with this is like, why do they have to include the main like MCU Spider-Man? Like, why can't we get like just some Tom Holland doing Tom Holland stuff for a little bit? And you could do the team ups with Toby and Andrew. Like, I want to see that, but I also want to see just solo
Street
Tom
level.
Holland films. Yeah, street level, like what we've been promised for years. Just actually getting that.
Yeah.
And I would also love to see Toby back as Spider-Man. I think that's cool too. So like, I think there's a world you could do both. Like, why'd you make a Madam Web movie in the first place? Why spend those millions of dollars doing that? Save it, put it towards, you know, this project that you obviously want to do with the Spider-Verse, and go with that. Have like Drake Bell. Actually, he might be problematic. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely don't include him. Every other
just
Spider-Man
like
is fine.
Every other Spider-Man, just not the Drake Bell one. But like, I'm trying to think of an actor
Spectacular
that could play him in
Spider-Man.
live action.
I mean, you could even bring back like the old Japanese Spider-Man. Like that would be sick.
Yeah, it would be sick. And do like, that would be actually probably I need a different director because I always just want to say that'd be a great James Gunn film of just like all the Spider-Man, and you include like the Japanese Spider-Man. But basically it's a Spider-Verse movie but in live action, which kind of just sounds like a worse version of Spider-Verse, so maybe I don't want that. But there's just a lot of live action Spider-Man moments that like I'd love to see kind of redone or referenced.
Yeah,
you know, I'm a
but at the
sucker
same
for some
time,
crowd
there's a
fare.
lot of street level moments that I feel like haven't even like began to be touched because Spider-Man's so occupied with being in the Avengers, being a protege to Tony Stark, dealing with the other
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man, being in Doctor Strange or being with Doctor Strange. So I feel like it took 3 movies to get to an origin, to like the real origin story of the MCU Spider-Man. I feel like we just need a street level, like we just need one street level Spider-Man movie that settles down, that like we need a movie like without Ned and MJ. I feel like a movie where he's kind of like on his own, and then like maybe at the end he like post-credit scene he begins to try to like make up with Ned or like try to like become friends with Ned and MJ, But I feel like we need a
Yeah.
movie where it's like just like, him struggling 25-year-old, introduce the Daily Bugle, and yeah.
I got a pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's to release 2 Spider-Man 4s in the same year. You not only released the Tom Holland Spider-Man 4, but you also released Spider-Man 4, the continuation, directed by Sam Raimi. And he's going to hate it, so you might have to find someone else, because this idea is like the last thing I'd imagine Sam Raimi would want to do. But essentially, I want to see the Goblin doing something with the multiverse, and him be like, I saw different worlds. He's like doing all the crazy, like, I saw different worlds. I need to see it again. He's in the lab scientisting all it up. And he does something that opens a wormhole between the Amazing Universe, and that's when you get Garfield. They show us what has happened in those universes in the time since. We get a lot of closure on things, and then the 2 Spider-Men team up to face the multiversal Goblin, who's growing more and more powerful from this thing that he did, and they destroy him, or they think they do. But he's actually just like floating in the multiverse, becoming even stronger. He's the main villain of Secret Wars, and that's the setup.
And then Madam Web shows up, and
And
Sony's
then
dreams
Madam
come
Web
true.
shows up.
Sony's dreams come true.
Yes. And then El Mundo shows up, and so and Sony's wallet is confused.
Yeah.
But we talked a while back on this after the success of Barbie, just kind of talking about what's next for Mattel or Hasbro or any of these other companies that are looking to capitalize on the bargain bin franchises they have, as we begin to capitalize on the 2000s nostalgia, which is kind of a fun thing as someone that grew up in the 2000s, is getting the nostalgia pandered to you now.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Lopez is going to be producing a Bob the Builder animated movie starring Anthony Ramos. That's incredibly on brand. I think when we were talking about it, we said like Bob the Builder feels like it's going to get a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I don't know what a Bob the Builder movie is, but I'm glad it's animated.
Oh, it is animated? I thought it was going to be live
Animated,
action.
yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it says animated movie at Mattel. So, good looks there. Rian Johnson's Knives Out 3 will begin filming this year. Daniel Craig will return as Benoit Blanc. So, turn up. The Knives Out franchise, probably one of my favorite series going on right now. The Glass Onion was super fun, especially with a rewatch. You can pick up on a lot of stuff that you missed. Really good, just whodunit. And if you pay attention, you could generally figure it out. It's really well written, and if you're one of those weirdos that doesn't watch Rian Johnson stuff because of some space wizard thing, then kick rocks, I guess. But Knives Out 3 should be hitting screens in a couple years.
Who would you like to see in the cast of Knives Out 3?
I'd like to see John Cena for sure.
That'd be sick.
I want to see a bit more gritty of a party / theme. Not like so many like rich posh people. Obviously, like there has to be an element of that for the story, but maybe it's something a bit more like grounded. Like he's, maybe instead of a 8,000 square foot house, he's in a 3,000 square foot house this time. Just something a bit more quaint. Maybe it's a cabin in the woods type situation. Maybe some. I think it'd be pretty fun to do like some teenagers kind of thing. And for that, I'd like to see, some Timothy Chalamet, obviously. or Andrew Barth Feldman.
Yeah.
We're hitting
Io.
all the variant
Io
cast
Dibry.
stops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeremy Allen White
yeah.
in Knives Out.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying not to, but like Jeremy Allen White, obviously. So there, it always has a crazy cast. So I'm sure we could expect all of the, A-listers in there. But hopefully we get some of the random people that you're like, oh, it's that guy from that one thing. I want to see the guy from Cocaine Bear that did the with the mustache, the ambulance guy from
Mm,
Cocaine Bear. I want
mm.
him.
The guy that was your favorite influencer actor, or
Yeah, yeah,
favorite something like that.
yeah. Yeah, best influencer actor or appearance, whatever. When J.J. Abrams told Daisy Ridley, understand, or when offered Ray, J.J. Abrams told Daisy Ridley, understand the scale. This is a religion for people. Ridley's anxiety was so severe by the time The Last Jedi released that she'd develop holes in her stomach wall.
Damn, that is
That's
that.
hardcore.
Yeah, that probably makes it sound a lot worse than it
Yeah.
than it actually was. But yeah, I mean, Star Wars fans be crazy, man, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that probably wasn't anything that she already knew. But I mean, I feel like you probably have to hear it when you're entering. You're like, yeah, like your life, like people are about to either hate you or they're gonna like you.
And not to like beat the dead Wookiee, but like, yeah, Star Wars fans are the absolute worst. But that a lot of that comes with it just being such a big fan base, um, and just you know, like a fathered in fan base, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Like it's something that has never lost relevancy. The times where I feel like Star Wars is irrelevant is just when I'm like actively trying to avoid it. But it is always there. It is always in the background, churning along, and there's tons of people that care about it. And it's one of those things that if you do it slightly differently than they want, they will let you know. And this has become a running theme over decades at this point with I think it started with Return of the Jedi. There was a lot of people that didn't like that stuff. I don't know. I was like negative 20 years old, but what I do know about is the prequels. Obviously, you saw what's the name of the Jar Jar actor?
Oh, Ahmad
I feel
Best.
Ahmad Best. He has a super super iconic name. Shout out
Yeah,
Ahmad Best. But he had a lot of troubles with just dealing with the fan base. And well, I think the prequels are looked back a lot more fondly now.
hmm
And I think you'll probably see the same thing with the sequels in 10, 15 years. When they are coming out, it is very real for people, and they feel the need to say things to the actors for some
yeah,
reason because they're the face of it, which I never understood with Ahmad Best, especially. Like, he literally was just like a voice and a body
yeah,
to mocap. Like, he wasn't even the face. And then you saw a bunch with the sequels with the actress that played Rey, pretty or not Rey, Rose, pretty famously. Definitely a problem, but it's a problem that has spanned generations at this point.
yeah,
So, like you said, it's probably something that they just have to, ingrain into these people that are taking these roles, and also probably confirmation we'll never see any big actors in these roles ever again.
yeah. Other than just like bit parts of being stormtroopers, because
Yeah.
that's just like, oh, you missed Daniel Craig in that one scene in The Force Awakens because he's a stormtrooper.
There's a lot of talk about big actors and who will be playing Kang, as it seems from the rumblings that they want to move forward with the Kang stuff, just with a recast.
Mm-hmm.
And the one being thrown around right now is John David Washington, so
Ooh,
son of
I'd
Denzel.
I'd
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I think that's a solid one. John Boyega is another one that people are talking about, and
I saw
uh,
Coleman Domingo, who was just nominated for an Oscar
right.
for, I think, I'm not sure which movie it was, but I remember watching him in Fear the Walking Dead. I think that he has a very similar energy to Jonathan Majors, and I think that he could do it too. But I think that it's really a role that a lot of people could play.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. I pitched in the past the Tukwundi Uji, the guy
Mm-hmm.
that played High Evolutionary. I think you could probably like retcon something into he's like a Kang variant that just never got the tech to go dimensional, whatever it is, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I think you could pull that, and he's another one that has been able to bring that energy and shown that it's pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, nothing on the Vin Diesel front. There was no statement from anyone. It seems like that's gonna be another kind of we're gonna just not talk about it for a year and see if people remember, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll see. But a lot of people talked about John David Washington was a big missed opportunity to be T'Challa, and that the not recasting T'Challa and changing the movie was more of a emotional move than it was like an actual move that makes sense and honors Chadwick Boseman's legacy. I think you go either way with it, but I don't know. It's hard for me to say that because at the time, not recasting did feel like the right move. And now we're getting people say, why didn't they recast? So it's a lot easier when you're kind of removed from the moment. But, I think John David Washington would have killed that as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
but this one, luckily, we don't have to worry about that. It's a pretty clear cut case. This should be a recast, and they're going to do it. Looks like Sony is trying to get ahead of some stuff here. Dakota Johnson says it was absolutely psychotic to film Madam Web with a blue screen. Quote, I don't know if this is going to be good at all.
Love that to start off.
Yeah.
what a great quote to say about your movie that's coming out in like a month.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Makes me
less
real
than that
excited
now.
to see it.
Less than that now, but yeah, it was that article was from January 27th from Variety, written by Michaela Z, and just kind of feels like they're very much setting it up to be, hey, this movie kind of a flop. Not sure what the budget is for it, but I imagine they're just kind of hoping to recoup losses. And it's really just confusing at this point because we've now had so many failed Spider-Man spin-off projects between Morbius, Madam Web, El Mundo not even making it out of development. The Venom movies did well, and I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
Those Venom
they
movies doing
got too
well.
high on their own supply for the first one that they released.
Yeah. So they just, I guess they just didn't realize why Venom even did good. I don't realize why Venom did good. I think it did really well in international markets for some reason. Like South America loves the turd with the wind line. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just their shit. And maybe they need to lean more into that. And I think that's what they were doing with El Mundo now that I think about it. But that unfortunately did not make it past whatever test needed to be passed. There is a headline, a wild headline about Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm not sure if you saw this one. But there's an indie movie titled Suddenly Fell Apart after Jake Gyllenhaal showed erratic behavior, including stripping to his underwear and diving into the freezing ocean, saying, "When I see the sea, I swim in the sea."
And The movie was shut down because of this.
It fell apart.
Hmm.
I don't understand. Uh, from the sounds of the article, he left the project originally to do another movie. Director complained and got him back with a bunch of complaints about how he acted and showed signs during the initial media phase. So it sounds like he dropped out of the movie and maybe didn't take it all that seriously while he was there. But I mean, it's really the director's fault for getting him near the sea. I think he
Yeah, I mean,
stayed.
this should have been in his contract.
If I see the sea, I swim in the sea. You
Yeah.
should know this. I'm Jake Gyllenhaal.
Anybody who knows Jake Gyllenhaal knows that. So that seems like
If he
it's
sees
a
the sea,
mistake on their part.
I'm a swim in the sea. Such a threat. Cillian Murphy will now executive produce 28 years later and could star in the film. I don't really know anything of this, so there's that. Chew on that.
Yep.
Think about that. Brad Pitt will star in Quentin Tarantino's final movie called The Movie Critic, releasing in theaters 2025. I feel like this is already being tagged so hard with Tarantino's final movie. I'm interested to see if this is actually his final movie. Seems like the type of guy that wouldn't lie about that, but it's also
Saying it
definitely
for 30
gonna be-
years.
Definitely. Oh, hey, has he?
Yeah, he's like,
didn't
I'm
know
making
that.
10 movies and then I'm
Oh,
done.
okay.
And so this is his 10th movie. And,
Okay, I believe that then.
yeah. And supposedly it's based off of like a critic who supposedly like didn't like his earlier movies. So so I'm excited to see it.
It sounds like a fun concept, and I think that's one of the few guys that can make a movie like that. I think it'd come off a little pretentious if like an M. Night Shyamalan made a
Yeah.
movie called The Movie Critic. But I think Tarantino's earned that right, and really, really screams like it's probably going to win an Oscar. So
Yeah.
good for Brad Pitt. Good for Brad Pitt, who feel like he's, real up and coming guy. That Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Look out
We'll
for
see
him.
where his career goes.
Yeah. Jim Carrey, another real up and coming actor, is returning for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, plus several other actors. I haven't seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I did see one. Don't know if I finished it. Think I might have blacked out at some point, but I know that they are enjoyed and that they make money, and it seems like they're continuing to make money and will continue to make money. As Jim Carrey is signing on, maybe.
What's funny about Jim Carrey is signing on to this is I don't know if you remember, but after Sonic 2, he said he retired. And then they offer him Sonic 3 and all of a sudden he unretires.
Well, it's obvious. He's like, I'm in a non-Sonic retirement. Like, I will only come back to be Professor Eggman. That's a passion role for.
Yeah, nobody else could be Mr. Robotnik.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something. It could be just likes working with that crew. It says plus several other actors, so maybe some of these people are his friends and he's getting them jobs as well. Who knows? There's a lot of background stuff in Hollywood that a lot of people just don't know about, including myself. So I'm sure there's something that got him to return and want to. It's probably money, probably a boatload.
Probably
of money.
a lot of money.
Yeah, that probably does it. So that concludes the news as we come into the end of the show. As we go into our no negotiation recommendation, we decided that we were going to each do one each week. So we'll have something to talk about for the next show, guaranteed. And we got some big ones. I'm going to be recommending you the Creed franchise. So Creed 1, Creed 2, Creed 3. Creed 3 obviously has the Kang recast in it, but he kills that. It's honestly kind of sad to watch now because it's just such a solid actor. But
Yeah.
Anyways, I think out of the three, I think Creed 3 is my favorite. I think Creed 2 is really good, and Creed 1's also good. It's really solid, just like sports trilogy, but they realize that you can only show a fight so much over and over again. Like, and they do kind of reinvent the wheel by the time the third one comes around. So definitely worth a watch, and I think it's kind of a pivotal point in sports movies is Creed 3. So yeah,
Yeah.
what do you
Sounds
got for
good.
me?
Um. Oh, are we each getting each other one?
Yeah. I actually know. I was just giving you for the theatrics of it all.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um. I mean, did you want Dune?
Dune. Yes. I will finally be watching Dune. This seems like a good time, as we are a month away from Dune 2,
Yep.
possibly the most anticipated movie of the year. And I
Yep.
haven't gotten around to Dune 1. I just got done with a Timothy Charlemagne project, so I'm going to just jump right into another.
Which one did
Keep
you just
the.
watch? Oh, yeah, never mind. That was dumb. I was still on Creed, and what movie is he talking about? Oh yeah, the movie that we just spent 25 minutes talking about.
Yeah. That one. Anyways, Wonka.
Yeah,
But we actually had our first results, even though it's the beginning of February. We already had one of the Rotter Tots come out. It was one of yours. It was Argylle, which you put as a tot.
yep,
You put your two tots were Argylle and the Bob Marley biopic. And unfortunately for you, unless there's a big wave of positive critics looking like you're going to get a rot here, as
yep.
Argylle has kind of settled into about a 33%,
What? No.
34% on Rotten Tomato now. So big miss there for you. But who knows? It probably won't come back.
Yeah, um, definitely missed the mark on that one. Um, was expecting, the cast, the director to carry the critic score, but turns out that even if you have a great cast and a great director, sometimes the story just isn't there, and that seemed to be what the case was for this movie in a lot of the early reviews.
Yeah, I mean we haven't gotten a chance to see it, but we'll go. I'll just say we'll just quote Anusha Halv's review, who said too much plot, too little wow.
Yeah,
So I guess there was too little wow, but we'll have to watch it for ourselves and see, or we won't watch it for ourselves and never remember that this movie existed until 2 years later, when we were like, oh yeah, there was that movie, Argyle.
yeah. It just seems like a Netflix movie. That movie that came out a few years ago, starring Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and Dwayne Johnson. It just kind of feels like that.
Well, it's also like the exact same plot of The Lost Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
Like the exact same plot. The Lost City. The Lost City had Daniel Radcliffe, Channing Tatum, Brad Pitt,
Oh yeah,
Sandra
that's right.
Bullock, and everyone acts like this movie just didn't happen. I talk to people and they're just like, "What?" But it's literally a writer that writes about this secret agent lost city thing, and it turns out to be real. And she goes on this adventure, turns into a rom-com thing, and this is basically that same thing that was just done a year later, and by the critics score worse. So don't really understand that, but collective consciousness, it exists.
Yeah.
But what have you been watching besides Wonka? Anything new there?
So there is a new Donald Glover show on on TV. I don't know if you know this, Ty, but there's a new show called Mr. and Mrs. Smith that's starring
Mm-hmm.
Donald Glover. And I've watched the first 2 episodes, and it's actually really great. It takes the premise that was like the original Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie movie, and kind of like doesn't really follow the same formula. Like within the first few minutes, you could tell it's going to be something different, and it's really great. It's funny. It's got action in it, and it's got really good writing and directing too.
Nice, nice, yeah. That's I saw like the I guess just like previews for it, trailers for it, whatever, and I was kind of intrigued by it just because I thought the Mr. and Mrs. Smith when that came out it was fun, but a lot of movies from that era kind of feel very samey,
Yeah,
especially when it comes to that secret agent plot. Secret agents were so big in the 2000s, so
yeah,
big, and everything kind of got like lost in the mud. But it was a interesting like concept, and it's cool that it gets expanded upon here with I think a more creative concept. So that's
yeah,
awesome. I think I'll probably wait. Is it like out like full season kind of thing?
yeah. The whole season dropped,
Nice, nice.
so I think
So
it's like 8 episodes out, um, and it's on Amazon Prime. Prime seems to be like the home to like it seems to be like a lot of action series on there lately. There's like a show with the dude from Game of Thrones like last year, and then there was like that Jack Ryan show with John Krasinski, and then I watched Reacher with Alan Rickson, and he's the dude that played like Thad Castle in Blue Mountain State. But
yeah,
he
yeah.
like it those like the Reacher, the first season was good, the second season was good for the most part, but then like there's just like some just totally out there, like totally unrealistic things that happen in specifically the finale of season 2. But yeah, for the most part, I think Amazon is a pretty solid studio, and they did a good job making this show with Donald Glover. That I feel like I feel like it does feel like it does have some of the Donald Glover like kind of let Donald cook a little bit, like let him improv a little bit. But I thought the writing was really solid on it.
Should we? Did you watch the finale of Percy Jackson?
Yeah, I did.
Should we save that for next week, or should we kind of just
Yeah, we
bring
can
that
save
home?
that. We can
Okay,
save
we'll
that
save
for
that.
next week.
Yeah. So Percy Jackson wrapped up. I watched that. We'll talk about that next week. And then I've been watching. I haven't seen the latest episode of The Challenge. I did catch up on The Traitors. So a few reality things. I've been super busy this week, but been trying to find some time to get that done. I think I'll probably watch Dune tonight to make sure I get that done before our next recording session. So
Yeah.
I got a few things to kind of catch up on. You're watching this season of The Challenge, right? How you liking it now that we're in what is it, Control or Conquest?
Conquest, yeah. The season's definitely had its ups and downs. I feel like there is such an aggravating storyline in the season. I feel like, to me, that's just like the whole Michelle and Jay being like mom and dad, right, to everyone in the house, and being like, if you go against me, if you go against me, then we're all against you.
Yeah.
And
I think it did get perpetuated by the fact that no one went home for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like this show, if you guys don't watch it, like it's like Survivor. Someone's supposed to go home every week. But because of the format, if they beat like a champ, then they don't have to go home. And they just kept beating the champs because they kept giving them terrible eliminations. And like just no one went home, so it kind of just became super clicky, extremely clicky. And then they realized, oh, we haven't sent anyone home in 5 weeks. Now we have to send someone home from the daily, and then we got to send someone home again at the end. So it's 2 people going home each episode. Pretty solid TV, but just sucks that it took this long to get here.
Yeah. It was like episode 15 and it was like 8 people have been eliminated. And it was like,
right.
It was like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? And how many people are going to run this final? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out. Season 40 is the big one coming up. And I know there's calls going out for that. Probably going to see the saw CT drop a season 40 reference when he came in, which isn't like them. They don't normally say "see you on 40" or whatever, or "I gotta get ready for 40." Like they don't generally do that. But CT obviously knows his ticket is already punched, and from what I've heard, there's probably gonna get Bananas and Kara back and all of these legends. So should be a change of pace from this season where it's just nobody that which I think does make some sense if you're saving some money for 40 and you want to just build up like a newer era. But I agree with you. I think the Jay, I don't like Jay. I think he's a little bit of a... especially in the last like 3 episodes or like 2 or 3 episodes when he's just like throws like a pout anytime, and like the freaking list that he's got going, he every time he like he's just got like, I guess like you've only seen a couple episodes of Conquest, but like he just writes out lists. He's like this is what it's got to be. It's like got his notebook full of just like every combination of names. Yeah, the last one I watched is like one of his friends goes home. And Kyland, who has been thrown in multiple times and has like won to stay in, apparently laughs at some point, and that's taken as like this I don't know, declaration of him being the most human garbage that has ever existed because he's laughing while the guy's sad about going home. It's like, it's a reality TV show, guy. Like, he doesn't know him. He doesn't care. Why does he need to care?
When Jay literally like laughs at, like, there's like that one time where like Jay thought that he won a challenge, and he's like, I look over at Kylan and he's like, oh shit. And it was like, he's just like completely just like, it's very he's very like, I don't know, like narcissistic and very very I can't think of the word right now.
The thing that bothers me about it is not that he is, because I like a lot of those guys on the show. My favorite characters on that show are like Bananas, Jordan, like those guys. But the difference between those guys is like they'll talk at anybody. Jay, it feels like, is only talking this way because those guys aren't here. Yeah, like he was a whole lot different when Jordan was fucking in his face that one, like the season before on Ride or Dies. He was so much different. But now when it's like people that he views himself as above or more veteran than, he talks so much differently. And it's just like, okay, man, interesting. But we'll definitely do a little wrap up. Maybe try to get someone from the show in for an interview. I think we can maybe get a couple of them. Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm sure one of them will give us the time of day. But we'll go through that. So if you're interested in the challenge or any reality TV show stuff, feel free to leave a comment below. Let us know to talk about it more, because I'll be watching a lot of that stuff. So thank you all for tuning into this episode, and we will see you next time for a better, improved, every episode version of the Variant Cast. Take us away, Trent.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Leave a like if you've made it this far. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Join us next week. We'll talk about the Creed franchise, and maybe have some maybe talk some Super Bowl commercials or something too.
Super Bowl and Dune.
Let's do it.
Well, actually probably one more week for the Super Bowl commercials, even though they do release them early. We'll figure it out. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah. Deuces.
Peace.